With about 2,500 upcoming simulation games on the way, finding what you want can be migraine-inducing. That's where I come in and spend way too much time diving into the sim genre to pick out the sims you might want to keep an eye on. Today, it's business tycoon management games and the best of the coming year. Getting wet is Aquapark Tycoon. This is a water park simulation tycoon game where you're designing and customizing water slides, pools, saunas, and all other liquid attractions. You're using your creativity and also business acumen to not just express yourself creatively, but also you need to make money, because that's what tycoon games are about. You gotta attract customers to your park and have them splish-splash their cash into your pocket. Now, there are various water attractions. Obviously, slides are a big thing. Pools, of course, that's an obvious one. Saunas are an interesting addition. But there's also co-op gameplay. Now, that's a bit different. There's a co-op gameplay mode where you can join forces with other tycoons and build and manage the most extravagant water parks the world has ever seen by strategizing together and dividing up your management duties to optimize your park. Usually tycoon games like this don't have co-op multiplayer mode, so that's an interesting addition. Now, there is also staff management, as you've got to keep your lifeguards and other workers and members of staff paid and doing their jobs. And there's also various scenarios which you can face as challenges. Now, this one is planning for a release in 2026, but at the time of recording, there is also a free demo that you can try out. So for Aquapark Tycoon, you can try it yourself and see if this is one you want to dip your toes into. And then there's Magic Forge Tycoon. Here you are an arms dealer in a fantasy world. You're making enchanted weapons and fulfilling contracts, which will then influence wars and shape kingdoms around you in this magical world. You are mastering the forge, upgrading your gear, and using alchemy to turn resources into weapons of magical destruction, and you become the realm's most mythic weaponsmith. So you are crafting, basically, in this business tycoon game. You are taking weapon patterns, fine-tuning the settings, applying enchantments, and refining the quality to try and create the most perfect weapons that you possibly can. But of course, you can't go straight to the best weapons in the world. You gotta start from scratch and turn that unrefined ore into masterpieces by expanding and upgrading your workshop in the sky. As you are, of course, in this world, your workshop is floating on islands in the sky, amongst the clouds. You are dealing with economy and trading as well, because you're buying and selling materials on a dynamic market that is influenced by said wars and alliances and resource scarcity. So the world you are influencing with your creations, the world itself will then influence your creations. And that's an interesting world loop and feedback that will actually make this a bit deeper than it might seem at first glance. Because the wars and politics that you are influencing by fulfilling those contracts, well, that's going to come back and affect you. You are not an island. Well, you're on islands, but you are not an island in this conflict-filled realm. Anyway, it sounds very interesting, and although it looks at first glance that it might be a bit more of a simple thing, there might be some depth to this one. It is releasing early on in 2026, so Magic Forge Tycoon, it's going to be playable for most of the year, and it might be the approach to tycoon business management that you are most into. Frontier Developments has announced that they're working on Planet Zoo 2. This is a recent announcement, so we don't have any real hard evidence or statistics or confirmation of specifics at this time. But Planet Zoo, if you don't know, it's a theme park simulation game where you are building up a zoo and managing animals. And it might sound a bit soon, considering how Jurassic World Evolution 3 from Frontier just released. But if you see Planet Coaster 2 released towards the end of 2024, then Jurassic World Evolution 3 released towards the end of 2025, it does seem to follow their one game a year plan that they've been following, where Planet Zoo 2 could be Q4 2026. The announcement video that they put out does heavily suggest 2026
for Planet Zoo 2, and that means that this is probably one of the most, if not the most hyped simulation game for 2026, but we'll have to see if it really is a 2026 game and what people think about this moving forward. But I thought I should mention Planet Zoo 2 is on the way, maybe for the end of 2026. Then I'm gonna mention one that people always remind me of, Big Ambitions. We have listed this before, and it is continuing through early access with very positive user reviews, over 90% positive. People really do enjoy Big Ambitions. This is a role-playing business sim, as it calls itself, and you play this character, an entrepreneur in New York, and you're opening small businesses and manufacturing plants and various things like that as you slowly build up your corporations as you see fit. This is an overall business sandbox, and you're growing any business you like in the city. It can be a single shop, a chain of fast food restaurants, a huge corporation, or you could do a web design business, all sorts of things. You are a business magnate here. And the whole promise here is that it is super in-depth. You can take loans, rent buildings, design the logo, renovate the store. You gotta acquire stock, you gotta manage your money, you gotta deal with staff, you gotta build your own infrastructure. This is business from the ground up, but it is also a life sim kind of game where you need to play this character. You need food, you need to manage your own home, you have to have a refrigerator to store that food. It's life sim plus business tycoon management. It's living your corporate dream, I guess it is, but how you want to live it. So obviously the promise and expectations here are huge. So far, going through early access, which it entered earlier on in 2023, is going well. People do enjoy it. The initial estimate was to spend up to 2 years in early access before its full release. We have now passed that mark, and we're now approaching 3+ years. But there are signs that it is planning for a full release, and that is something that is quite plausible for Big Ambitions in 2026. Blacksmith Master is kind of a business tycoon sim where you are running a medieval smithy, and you supervise the entire process from mining ores and gems to designing and selling finished products. You forge everything from weapons and armor to tools and cooking utensils to fund your craft, all in the aims of becoming a master of blacksmithing and running this forge from the ground up and mastering the crafting process. Not just yourself, but all of your crew as well. Different blacksmiths you hire will have different skills that you need to cultivate and manage, and you're really running this business of getting all of this forged stuff out to clients and the public. Now, at first glance, this does just look like another little indie game, but it's not. It actually is in early access with very positive user reviews at the time of recording at about over 80%. Recent reviews are over 90% positive. So people have really been enjoying Blacksmith Master since its early access release in May 2025, and they are loosely targeting 2026 for a full release. It is having some performance updates and improvements recently, with more content being added as well. So a 2026 release window is a fair enough assessment and estimation right now. But if you like the theme of blacksmithing, then this tycoon sim building crafting game might be the one for you. Building a business empire on the go is Food Truck Empire. This is an economic strategy tycoon game where you are managing your own fast-growing food truck enterprise. You have to deal with dishes, automate production, and customize your trucks, and you can also research new tech to improve your mobile food business. Now, this is one that I've actually been watching for a while, and it's been coming along, but I'm listing it now for 2026 because there is a free demo now, and it seems to actually be coming together. So there is a big possibility for Food Truck Empire to release in 2026, but you can just try the demo now and see if this is one that you want to hop on with. You are a chef, a boss, and an emperor as you are trying to get food to the people in the most effective and efficient way possible.
The automation aspect is kind of interesting, where you are trying to make sure things flow in the confined spaces of a truck to make sure things are manufactured and processed and delivered as appropriately as they should be. But you can also compose your own dishes and create your own styles, not just for the truck, but for the food as well, as you try and satisfy your clientele and just succeed as best as possible to dominate this city by getting as many 5-star reviews as possible. But you're not alone. You are competing with rival businesses and other trucks that may want to not let you win so easily. So you can't just go around growing forever. You gotta deal with the competition. We'll see if you can do that. Anyway, Food Truck Empire, we have been watching it for a while. It is now playable in some form, and a release is plausible over the next year. Mars Attracts. I cannot believe this brand has something new. Who could have guessed a Mars Attacks game would be made today? And as a theme park sim as well. Mars Attracts is a simulation game where you build an attraction on Mars, hence the name, filled with human-themed curiosities to cure the monotony of Martian life. Like in a zoo-styled builder, you'll be constructing detailed enclosures, managing staff, and most importantly, don't you forget to abduct and experiment on humans for the entertainment of your alien guests. Well, I guess from this perspective, the humans are the aliens? Theme park sims are a constantly popular type of game, but visually this one does look a bit simpler. However, the theme alone, if executed rightly, could be enough of a hook by itself for us nostalgic gamers. Does this mean we gotta rewatch the old movie before jumping in? Probably not, but it might help with getting into the game, as it has been a long time since. There's been a free demo on Steam, so you can hop in for a quick look. Otherwise, Mars Attracts is going into early access, and it's planning to be in early access for up to 12 months. Which, if they stick to that, it'll be 2026 for a full release, but you can begin building your human exhibition much sooner. And then for a big name in the Tycoon genre, Tavern Keeper. Now, for full transparency, Tavern Keeper did sponsor us in the past, but this one is highly anticipated because it's by Greenheart Games, and if you don't know that name, they're the ones that did Game Dev Tycoon, which is a game from 2013, and it was massively popular. About 40,000 user reviews on Steam at 95% positive. Game Dev Tycoon was a viral hit. Now, Tavern Keeper is their new game, and it's supposed to be a cozy, chaotic management sim, but they really do bring a lot more to this game this time around. So you are managing the tycoon, but you are also building up your tavern, and there's a few things that I think I should point out here. So first of all, you are managing the business in the business tycoon way. You buy ales and food ingredients, and you serve your customers with drinks and stuff from the kitchen. But the customization is where Tavern Keeper kind of sets itself apart. You can not only customize your own furnitures, objects, items to really design your own stuff in an item object editor, which then you can share with the community as well. You can really customize everything in that regard. You can also customize dishes and the foodstuffs from the ingredients you can import. And then your tavern itself can be customized with all of this stuff as well. Now, besides that, there is also this very elaborate and developed narrative system where there's a storyteller which does voice acting and everything, and they bring you through a story of your business, expanding through the different regions. There's a lot of story beats and narrative elements. There are dialogue choices which you can then make and sometimes succeed and sometimes fail, but the game kind of tells you that failure is not a bad thing, it just takes the story down a different way, but there is a bit of a reroll system as well. So there's a lot to Tavern Keeper. Now, visually, the thing that kind of threw people off a little bit are the lack of arms, which is a cartoony approach, but I guess it solves some animation problems. I mean, it's a bit of a weird look, but you get used to it, and so far, Tavern Keeper has been going through early access with 95% overwhelmingly positive user reviews on on Steam. So it entered early access and people are loving it. They're planning to stay in early access for up to a year, so they are aiming for a 2026 full release. So far, Tavern Keeper looks to be maybe one of the best tycoon games upcoming right now. Going a bit more commercial, Hotel Architect. Designing and building a hotel set in the middle of metropolis across the world. Your job here also involves managing the chaos of catering to demanding guests and dealing with logistical nightmares. Hotel rooms, services, spas, conference rooms, pools, and more are up to you to construct, and it's a tycoon game, so profit is a priority. There's a career mode if you like the campaign style, but of course a game like this has sandbox mode as well. Either way, your cozy or complex accommodation will be judged by hospitality reviewers, and keeping those visitors along with your staff happy is going to be key to scoring those stars. Hotel Architect entered early access in the middle of the year to a few hundred but very positive user reviews so far. We're talking over 90% positive. So for those who have been taking up the mantle of hotel owner, have been enjoying their time. Updates are regular enough for its beginning. Having said that, it's also aiming for up to 12 months in early access, so 2026 at the earliest for a full release if you prefer to wait before checking in. For a smaller indie early access game, there's The Boss Gangsters Nightlife. Now, this is a game that kind of reminds me of the old Gangland game, where you are running a gang, you're ruling the city, and you run various businesses within this city, whether it's a nightclub or various other economic solutions that your enterprise may or may not officially be dealing with. You know, chop shops, bars, clubs, stuff like that. So you're managing your club, but you also got to manage your gang, and there are gang wars as well, because there's rivals and stuff in the city. There's a corruption system, there's RPG mechanics, and there's also a bit of a life sim kind of GTA approach to doing things as well. But there's prestige and unlocks, there's a dynamic economy, and generally you're just trying to rule this city from the shadows. But maybe you get a bit of a name for yourself as well. Now, this one did enter early access towards the end of 2025 to a handful of user reviews on Steam, but they are very positive, over 80% positive right now at the start of early access. So The Boss Gangsters Nightlife has a decent enough start, but where this goes in the future, we'll have to see how it goes through early access, which they are aiming for around 1 year. So the idea is for this to release fully in 2026. We will see where it goes and whether it can really bring all of these elements together into a solid game that we would want to play over the other types of gang management games, which we have gotten in recent years as well. We've gotten a number of gang-related tycoon games in recent years, like City of Gangsters and Empire of Sin. Those are a couple others. So we'll see if this one holds up against those, or maybe you just want to go back and play Gangland from the old days. For a game that's sort of like Zoo Tycoon, but fantasy, Fantastic Haven. Here you are restoring the equilibrium of magic by saving endangered fantasy creatures. You're building up your sanctuary, a shelter to welcome and protect these animals, and you're exploring unique regions, rallying neighboring populations to your cause, and rehabilitating creatures into their natural environments. This one hasn't quite fully released yet, but it is aiming for a Q3 2025 release. However, there is a free demo that you can check out right now, so what the game is building up to is not a secret. You can just jump in and try it. And there are a lot of people that are excited for this one because, you know, the whole Zoo Tycoon, creature collecting, building management kind of game is always popular. And a fantasy setting is an interesting enough twist to it, especially when there's this overarching goal of restoring the magic to the world. This seems to be turning out okay. However, you're gonna have to want to be into the cozy, cute aesthetic as well, which many are, but just that's what this game is. Fantastic Haven. If you're into the art style, it looks visually great, and although free demos are not fully representative of final gameplay, it's always nice that there are free demos, and that's a plus point for this one.
Now, for one of the biggest hits that entered early access earlier on in 2025, Schedule 1. Now, due to YouTube, I'll just be a little careful about what I say about this one. You are running a business empire. You're manufacturing and distributing a range of your products through the grungy city of Highland Point. You expand your business, taking control of properties and other businesses and managing employees, and you're just generally doing all the things you need to do to become the best business person around. This one did enter early access in March 2025, looking at a full release after 2 years. So this is actually planning for a 2027 full release, but I think I have to mention this one in a simulator list because it's got overwhelmingly positive user reviews. 200,000 user reviews on Steam at 98% positive. This is ridiculously highly reviewed. And still now, months after it entered early access, it's floating very high concurrent player numbers. Of recent simulator games, this one has exploded, and if you haven't heard of it, maybe it's to do with the themes of it, but I think you can get the gist of what this one is all about. There is also a free demo that you can just try, so that's something that you can have a look at and see if this one is one that you want to get into for some manufacturing, distributing, expanding. There is some fighting elements as well, and there is also co-op multiplayer. With its more cartoony, low-poly-esque visuals, it doesn't feel all too serious, but you can see if Schedule 1 is one that you want to dip your toes into. For another life sim that we have been waiting on for a while, but this has a release window, Nivalis. This is now finally set for a 2026 release, and it's a cyberpunk business management life sim. You grow your business, you manage restaurants and nightclubs, and you make friends and enemies, but you can also buy and decorate apartments, go fishing, and maybe even find love. But this is a cyberpunk city, so things are a little bit darker than the typical life sim. Visually, this one has always been striking. It really leans into the cyberpunk aesthetic, the lighting, the weather effects, everything. It looks great. And you are meant to be able to explore this city with your own boat, or you can grow your own ingredients to use in your restaurants or ramen stands. And as you live in this cyberpunk city, you discover the stories of the people you meet, you can make friends, your customers have tales to tell as well. And overall, you're just living in a cyberpunk world, which I think a lot of people want to try at least, despite how dystopian it may seem. Nivalis has been super hyped for a long time, and hopefully finally they will be releasing in 2026 according to schedule. And maybe if you find Cyberpunk 2077 a bit too action-packed, Nivalis would be a life sim alternative for you. And there you go, that's a bunch of business tycoon simulation games that are on the way through 2026. Which one are you most excited for? Also, as I mentioned, there are about 2,500 upcoming simulation games. Obviously, I can't just be listing all of them, so if you think one I didn't mention deserves a mention, do share it down below, because we're always looking for more, and if you think there's one that should stand out more, share it. People will want to know as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Subscribe for more. If you enjoyed this video, do press the like button. And if you want to support, check out and follow the Patreon, or click the GOG referral link down below and just get any game on GOG using that referral link. It really does help support. Thank you. Alright, that's gonna be it for now. I hope you found this interesting and or useful, and I will see you in the next video.